Friends, welcome back. Happy Monday. How are you? It is a warmer day today, if you consider 29 warmer. So it's been a cold weekend. It's been a laid back weekend. So I've made myself a cup of hot tea with a splash, and I mean a splash of Premier Protein vanilla cream, vanilla. Oh, the flavor is vanilla in it. I can't think what it's called, but it's vanilla. So, and it's one of the new ones I got out of my Advent, the Frosted Orange Cream, which is supposed to be black tea, vanilla flavor and orange flavor. The reason I added the vanilla protein is to get a little bit of protein, which isn't much, and that vanilla flavor, because it's okay, but it tastes like more orange. The orange is definitely stronger, but the vanilla, to me, it makes it taste more like a creamsicle, like the old push-up popsicles we used to have in the round plastic tubes. That's what this reminds me of. It needs to be a little bit more vanilla in it, but I have it in my Starbucks mug that's called, and the inside here says inspiring. So let me turn it around because it's only on one side. I got this one and another one at an auction one time. And I can't tip it too far, but the inspiring is right there. So, but I thought, Mr. Jerry's out in his area. He is working on trying to make some wood coasters. And so that's the perfect time for me to come in here. So the weekend, what happened on the weekend? First of all, thank you all for the prayers for his mom and everything. I wish I could say I could call her on the phone and ask her how she's doing, but she's at that stage of the dementia that she's never in her room. She was still quarantined in her room until Friday, I think was what was on the door. And knock on wood, so far neither one of us have got any signs of the flu, so we're so grateful and thankful for that. But she definitely when she is in a trauma state, she'll have a couple of really bad days. But the coordinator who talked to us on Friday called this morning and said that she had called out there and they said that she was doing better. And that today the home health nurse was supposed to come and check on her. And his sister said that she called the nurse's station yesterday and they said that she was back out sitting in the hallway because that's what she tends to do, and with either by herself or others. So all I know is that she's doing better. She has a follow-up doctor's appointment with her family doctor this Thursday. Mr. Jerry's going to take her, and they want a follow-up CAT scan on her lungs because, well, they didn't say on the lungs. Anyways, they want a follow-up CAT scan because they found something that they weren't for sure if it was flu related. Now, I'm going to guess it's going to be the lungs because you wouldn't, for the brain, you wouldn't sit there and say. She's had a history of blood clots before, but they were able to see those the last time. So it might have been because she had the flu and there was wheezing that had started. But Jerry said that before he puts her through that, he'll talk to her doctor to see what he thinks. So, but other than that, that's all I know on his mom. And so this weekend, we just kind of laid around. When I say lay around, it was a lazy weekend. I did not get in the sewing room to sew. I should have sewn, but I just didn't feel like sewing. I finished my audiobook, and now I'm looking for another audiobook if anybody has any good suggestions. And I knitted on my sock, and I did my fabric and everything came in for my English paper piecing on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. And that was an ordeal in itself because when we got the fabrics in, it had a lot of reds in it. It was more colorful for if you live down south than for when you live up north where we do, where we have longer, colder months. Well, bless Mr. Jerry's heart. I mean, he says, you know, I'll help you figure it out and stuff, you know. So I can't remember. It was sometime later in the day. He came out and he readjusted the temperature chart because he wanted, it said it had 24 colors, which it does have 24 colors, but they're batiks, and some colors are just like a fade. You barely can tell a difference. So we went back off. I gave him the back of the card because it had all the colors on it in big squares, like 1-inch squares. And, you know, and there was only like 4 blues and maybe 4 or 5 greens and a couple of yellows. And like I said, lots of reds, like 6 or 7 reds. There was like 2 purples of that. And I thought, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to, it's just not going to work in my head. I'm like, oh no. So he got it down to, I think, 19 colors. So it's all being housed in this fancy dancy shoebox thing. And how I'm doing this is I'm taking the high temp of the day and the low temp of the day. And I usually wait until the next day, the next morning. That's like one of the first things I do in the morning after I get my cup of coffee and stuff. And I look up what it is, and then I mark it down because this gal I found she gave all these freebies. So, but see, we originally taped them all down. But there's not too much difference in some of the colors. So that's just for the temperature, and we started out at 0 and below was one color, and it goes all the way up to 97 and above. We don't hit 90s too often, and we don't hit below 0 too often. So, but we did that so that there was a decent amount of range, because my husband, like I said, really loves batiks, because that's what I love, and I've made a lot of quilts and stuff out of batiks and jelly roll runners and all that stuff, and rugs and stuff. So this was a batik layer cake, which is a 10-inch square, and it's supposed to be like your primary colors. So he had to change the temperature background, the temperatures and stuff. So now it is 5-degree difference. There are a couple of them that might be 4, or 1 or 2 might be 6 to make it come out. And then she also gave this temperature quilt daily temps for a year. You know, I know you're not gonna be able to see it, but they are. It starts in January and goes all the way through December, and then it says high and low, and then and it's got the days. So, and you just mark that. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing what is called a jewel template. It looks just like this. I printed these up on my cardstock. If I had a Accu quilt cutter, or I think even there's even a, I could do it on my Gemini, like a Cricut, except for I have to look to see, because I know Accu quilt has the cutters. I'll have to see if they have them, because I can cut them out on that. But what I did was I printed them up, and then I printed up 3 pages, and I cut those all out by hand. So, and I am going to be putting them on a 5-inch square background. So when you put 2 of them together, I'll make a heart, and then it will go in the center of this one right here. And then it's just going to go however long I want it and down, but I'll have to see how that works out, what width I want or anything like that. That part I haven't even looked into yet. So I got all my EPP stuff, English paper piecing, in this bag that I had bought to hold all my knitting and stuff like that. So I have my little needle book that I had hand did last year, and then on here I have my glue stick. I am using sulky thread, and it's in a light gray. And I do have some wax, beeswax. So because in my other English paper piecing project, it was knotting up on me, and this will make sure that it doesn't knot up on you. And what else do I got in here? I do have a thimble if I need to use it. I tend not to. And some extra glue sticks, refills. So I have that in there. And then in the bag that I made at Christmas time, I am housing the templates and the daily hearts when they're done. So let me show you the colors. So, and I sat here and I marked everything because I'm gonna have to know what everything is. So you can see. I ought to say set back for a minute or two because this one might be a little bit longer than the rest. So and I hope you're all right with that. So these are the warm colors and these are the cool colors. So there is the first color right there, the second, so what happened was when we got this all said and done, then I went and I opened up all the fabrics and I started taking them apart, and I found there were more oranges than what it listed, more yellows, and another blue. So there are these three, and this one is more of a green blue. Whoops, let me do it this way. So you have this blue here, which is more of a teal. And then this goes into the greens. And then my warmer, just a second. I dropped one. So then there is this one here. So this would be more of the spring colors. And then it goes into the summer colors. Sorry, that clicking is the clip hitting as I'm throwing it back into the basket. I'll try not to do that as loud. But see, these two are pretty well on camera, but in real life they are almost identical. So, and this was the squeaker. There was a pink in there and it did not show a pink, but I needed to get that pink in. And then there are these two colors here, but on camera you can see a difference, but I guess with the light on, I guess you still can. So, but anyway, so I got those all set. So all I have to do in the morning is pull out whatever color is associated with the high low, and then I hand cut out the template. Just putting it all back into it. So I have 3 days so far. I have 4 days so far. And what I'm doing is I'm on the back. I am writing. I have to get the right. I am writing an arrow for the high, and then an up arrow, which means that side of the heart is the high, and then a down arrow for the low, and then I'm writing the date like 1/1, 1/2, and like that. So so this one right here on the right side is the high, and this is the low. So that is the heart right there, and I just wrote on the back of that. This is so I can remember, so when I sew them onto the squares, I'll know which one is what. So again, this one is the high, and then this one is the low. You can see that we've had fairly consistent highs, and that's the low. And then this was today's, or yesterday's. So our high and low was pretty darn close. It was like the high of 29, low of 25. So they fell in that same range. So that's what I have right there. And what I'm planning on doing is how she did it too, was you technically fold it into quarters, and then you would take the papers out, press it down, and she machine quilted it down. And so that's probably what I will do, is machine sew these down with a decorative stitch. So you will get something like that. And so you just sew all of these together, however long it is. She did have a page that showed, you know, the finished quilt, so I could go back and count. And what she did was, at the end of January and beginning of February, to separate it, she put a blank 5-inch square from the 31st to the 1st. That way you, nobody's going to know, but she's going to know that started February's month. My other thought was, I could, if I got ambitious, I could, on the very first block of each month, hand draw, you know, like Jan with a dot, and then embroider that, so, you know, it says January, and then when February starts, I can do Feb, and then do the same thing, or I can just not worry about it. So I did start that, and this is going to, of course, be a year-long process. So my sock, I just finished it. I have not cast it on the second one. Again, this is from Freckled Whimsy, her Christmas Club Year 2. And I already got the yarn pulled out to where I need to start for the second one. And this one, I don't think I ever told you the base of it. This is on her Splendid, which I really like her Splendid base, which is 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. There is 437 yards or 100 grams into these. And it is fingering weight. So this is sock 1. So I just did a 2x2 ribbing for about 10 rows, and then I did 30 rows for the leg and the heel flap and gusset is all in here, and it's a self-striping. There are 6 stripe repeats, and I just thought it was neat how the heel just worked out to where it will have that pop of that red. So, and then of course at the bottom it got so that it came back to that pop of red. So sock 1, and these are for me, sock 1 is done. So I need to cast on sometime, give my hands a rest on knitting on that second sock so I can get that done. The other thing is before Christmas time I had talked about a cross stitch project I was doing that the lady who designed this was doing. It was a sewing wall hanging, which was 40 inches by 40 inches, and they were 1-inch little squares that you were sewing into different designs all the way across, or you could embroider it by your machine. She would have a link. At that time when it first came out, she gave out the free links for an SVG file for embroidery for your machines. She gave the free download for if you were sewing it to do I can't think right now how with the fusible web and all that stuff. Oh my goodness. But anyways, you had to cut out all these 1-inch squares, and I just said, I can't, I don't have the time to do that. But then when I looked at the pattern, since they're 1-inch squares, if you're a cross stitcher, you'll know that it's technically a square that you put an X in for your cross stitch. So I counted it all up and figured it should be like a 6 by 6. I did a 14, 8 of 14, which just means there's 4 teeny tiny squares, or 14 teeny tiny squares in an inch. And I use Classic Colorworks Bing Cherry. So I was doing that, and the last week I literally needed 1 strand of Bing Cherry. 1 strand, about this much, just 1 strand, because I probably had less than 10 stitches. And so I went and looked on conversions to say what other color in DMC and see if I had it. And everything that said it should, it wasn't. It was way off. So I went on Etsy and I did find a shop that had it. And they had, I think, 5 of them left. And I like that color, so I bought all 5. Well, I finally got it in after Christmas. And then I just been procrastinating because I did that quilt and it still needs to be finished. And so I sat down yesterday, and within probably 2 minutes time it was done. So this is what it looks like. So she is all done. I have pressed her out the best I can. I still have a wrinkle in here that I can't get out. I have tried my darndest, but it's going to be there. So, but this is what it ended up being. I thought it was seeing something on camera. So this is what it looks like. And we have a frame already built, and some sticky board to put it on. And once both of us decide to get the frame down, backstory, when our sunroom was built and I had all these cross stitches, and Jerry started making frames up in the peak area, and he already made another frame and he put it up there that's been empty for 3 years. It was harder than I thought to find something that would fit in there. This is going to fit in there just perfect. It should give a 1/2 inch border all the way around, or even 1 inch, which will be fine, but it will fit. He measured it. He said it will fit, so that's where it's going. So I did get that done. I felt good with that. So I felt good I got that done, and I felt good that I got 1 sock done, because it's just too easy just to, you know, start everything and throw caution to the wind and throw them off to the side and keep going with other things. So the only other thing I want to talk to you about is last year I started an English paper piecing a blanket quilt top, and I have to look into it to see what clue was the last one I have. I sure hope I can figure it out. But I got it housed in my vintage sewing basket. I love these. Absolutely love these. So last year I had gotten the little hexagons done, and then I had gotten all of these long strips done, and I can tell you that it is a flower, a long strip, and a flower. Oh, and I've got a card that wants to come out on the edges, and that's not a good thing. So, let me get my glue stick out here, if I can find it in here. So, I mean, that's just one of the English paper piecing that, that I had started. I can hear Mr. Jerry. So I'm trying to glue this back down so I don't lose it, because you want your edges. It doesn't matter if the cards come out on the inside, but the edges, you need that stability. There. I'm sure I can figure out where this clue is, but there was so many clues, and it was the bigger it was getting, the more it was taking time to do. But anyways, this is where I got last year. So this clue starts out with, you're supposed to see, and I'm just starting to hook this one on to this right here. So you have a flower that sets in there, that long pink up here that sets in there, and then a flower, and then the flower fits over here, and then that long one right there. So but this is what I had gotten done so far, and they are all 1-inch hexagons. And I had taken out, because I was reusing them, on the inside and leaving the outside ones done. So that will be my, unless something pops up, that will be my hexagon project for this coming year. Like I said, unless something else comes up that might be a little bit more intriguing. So what I need to do is I need to go to that gal's site, and hopefully they're all still free, and go back and just print up all the clues and then put them in a folder so that I have it and put it with that. So, and the last thing is our daughter's blanket or quilt. And I had started this last year too. This one was called the Book Lover's Oasis. And I had it all cut out. Well, I still have it all cut out. I have it in this cubicle right here. And where I am on this one is I have to make so many of these right here, and so many of these. And what I have to do is I have to take, just like this, do both sides. I need to trim that back side off and fold them up. So it's going to look like this. And then I need to take another square here and do what I did on the sides here, so that when it's done, it equals like this. So that goes there. Oh, I have one of them done so you can at least see it. So it's supposed to look like this. And these are 3-inch squares. So that in itself is going to be a daunting thing, because it's that half square triangles. But I do have the half square triangle rule ruler cutter. Oh my Lanta. So the goal, I'm bumping you, sorry. The goal is, her birthday is February 26th. The goal is to get my butt in gear and finish this other one that's behind me. So I can, all I have to do with the one behind me is sew 2 more strips of rows, which are 3 blocks each in each row, and then sew them all together. So then the top part is done. And I've cut out the inner border, which is a 2.5-inch strip, and I have to sew a bunch of those strips together so I can do the top and bottom and left and right, or right and left, however. And then I've got a 4.5-inch strip for the final border, and I gotta sew those together and do the same thing. And then that top is done. And I was hoping to be able to, because she's a big girl, she is going to be 96 by 108, was go down and buy the 108 backing, and then I was just going to try to quilt it and get it done. But I'm thinking, if we want this done by the end of February, I'm going to have to fold her up, and then I'm going to have to concentrate on the next one and try to get that one done, because that one will end up being a 57.5 by 69.5 inch quilt. And what I am doing right now is, right where those blue things are, is those half square triangles. I've already done the black around all the books. I've done all of that. So I just have to work on those. And it only takes 2 yards of wide backing. So yeah, we'll see if I get it done. So right now, out by my chair, I have my my daily temperature thing setting out there so I can do that. I have my sock setting next to me. I am still crocheting on that 6-day star blanket, and it's a 6-day star blanket if you do the kids size, which is 40 inches, and I've hit the kids. So to finish out the adults is going to take a while, because you know, every time you go around, you're increasing it, so it gets bigger and bigger, to where at some point it's going to take 45 minutes to an hour just to do one complete round. So but I have been working on that, and other than that, I guess that's enough. I'm trying to get back on my Weight Watcher doing. Sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle when you don't have sugar in your life, and then Christmas hits, and then you allow sugar back in, and then when you turn around to try to get that sugar back out, you know, it's difficult. And the nighttime eating is difficult, is once you have your supper and not having a snack at all. And but I'm doing the best I can, and that's all I can do. And I did walk on the treadmill today, and because I got a little lackadaisy on that over the holidays, well, it didn't help. The last 2 or 3 days I've had a headache, a sinus headache, because the weather's been up and down, and it just was not conducive to be walking on a treadmill. And you would think that that would be also something to make you not want to eat, but sometimes for me, the not feeling good, if it's the head, I tend to want more salty things. And we don't have that much salty things in the house that I want. So, but yeah, I've been pushing my fluids again, and you know, we are both back on the saddle, as you could say, and doing the best that we can, and trying not to sweat over it if we have a night that we're a little more snacky than we should be. So, but that's kind of how it is. And can't track anything today anyways. My Weight Watcher app, they said that that there is a global outage on Weight Watchers, and they know about it, and they're working to get it fixed. So I can't track my activity, can't track any the foods or anything. So, you know, just do the best I can, right? So anyways, thank you for stopping by, my friends. I know this is way longer than a lot of you like, and way longer than probably I like to do, because I have to go back and edit this, and there's not too much before or after. But I think I will go back and warm up my tea and take care of all this so that it is out of the way, so I know where everything is, so I can reach it and stuff. And I don't know, I should cast on that second sock, but I really don't want to. Oh, I will probably wait and cast that on a little later. There is a doily I want to start, and I might start that. The gal I follow all the time, she posted a new one, and part 2 came up today, and so I might try that today. Throw caution to the wind, as I say. I did order some seeds last night too, the garden seeds that I knew that we needed, and because I know if I wait a little bit longer they will be sold out and they're harder to find. So this year I'm going to try to grow green onions. Some people call them bunching onions. And I am going to try growing parsnips. Never grown parsnips before, and Jerry's mom always did, and he remembers them, so I ordered some parsnips. Some I haven't found the green onions yet. I have to keep looking for the seeds. And I'm trying a new Roma tomato that is supposed to be more productive than what I tried last year. And I'm going to try growing tomatoes for the first time, because we can a lot of pasta sauce and tomato soup and diced tomatoes and stuff like that. So I ordered some of that. I mean, I read through them all, and I needed some more green beans, so I ordered Great Lakes. All this is from M.I. Gardner, so, and he's down to, by St. Clair. Jerry goes, you know, we could have made a trip and we could go visit him. And I said, I already said to ship it, because I know Miss Jenny would enjoy me being down there. But and there are some things we're not going to grow next year's or this year that didn't turn out very well. I always will do peas. I always will do some type of cucumbers. Oh, I did order some pickling cucumbers. They're supposed to get 3 to 5 inches, because we do salsa. We do relish, and those will work good for the relish. And if I just can't grow cucumbers. I can't. The bugs take over. So I end up going and having to go to the farmer's market and buying you know, some to grind up and stuff. Last year, our friend Shar, she had an overabundance and she got tired of seeing them, and she was ready to throw them out till I made some remark that my cucumbers, I don't have enough to do relish, and she says, please take some of mine. So that helped us, and I knew that it came from an organic garden and stuff. So, but I still try. But when all the seeds and the time gets a little closer, I will be having to start my celery and my onions and the parsnip when it gets here. If I start it by seedlings, probably our first frost date, no, our last frost date is May 11th, I think they said. Parsnips, I need to be able to get those in the ground as quickly as I can. So as soon as I get the seeds, you know, everything's covered with snow. So, I mean, the ground is hard. I'll have to look, because they can take anywhere from 100 days to 180 days. And parsnips, apparently you can let them go past your first frost. They can even stay in the ground when it snows, but when the ground starts to freeze, you need to harvest them before then. So I know I won't be doing a lot because I'm not for sure I care for parsnips. They're a little peppery and stuff, and I'm not for sure he cares for them. He doesn't remember having them, I mean eating them, but his mom did grow them. So what's the harm, you know? So trying a different type of carrot too. The ones that we had last year were good, but these are going to supposedly longer. And oh, and I did get a orange pepper and red peppers, because those were all sold out a lot of places, and we tend to use those in our canning. And he doesn't eat them, but they're good for fresh eating too. So, but anyways, look at me. I told you I'm going to go, and I just got blah, 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 blah. So forgive me, my friends, but this makes up for the days that it's only 6 minutes long, I guess. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well, and thanks for the continued prayers and all that stuff. And I just can't believe that's already January, and before you know it, I'm going to be out doing gardening vlogs and stuff. So, but anyways, till we can meet up again, my friends, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you on a Tuesday. If not, catch me when you can. Thanks again.